Hello, this is your virtual life coach, Michael Lewis. So, a few days after I got my driver's license, I was like 17, 18 years old. So, a few days after that, I rear-ended a bus. It was a parked bus. Um, I, yeah, so I rear-ended a parked bus. Uh, the judge was very curious about this. He said, "How could I do that?" And I said, "Well, Your Honor, I was just driving along and I was eating my yogurt, and all of a sudden my windshield filled up with this bus. And where did it come from?" And at that point, everybody in the courtroom laughed and laughed and laughed. And the judge said, "Get out of here. Just get out of here. I don't want to see your face. Just get out. Get out." So I learned that being funny was how to get out of trouble. And from then on, I figured if I'm in trouble, I can just be funny and then I'll get out of trouble. And of course, I was wrong. And so here we are. Now, you are, of course, a good person. You may even be a terrific person. You know right from wrong. You feel bad when you do something wrong. And you feel top of the world when you did something really cool, really right. But how about making the right choices, the right decisions for yourself? And your family and your business and that sort of thing. How about those dumb things that you do in the heat of the moment? How about that stuff? Well, it boils down to a study called ethics, which is basically just making the right choices that result in you being more alive as a person, more successful, expanding as a person, expanding as a company or a project, growing closer and happier as a couple and as a family, all those really good things. And the word ethics comes from the word ethos, which means character or nature. So it's not punishment. Punishment comes from the word puno. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So I just go puno, which means penalty. Ethics is not penalty. It's actually a reward. It's an improvement of your lot in life, provided, of course, you are ethical. So lucky for you, ethics is native to you. It's natural. That's why you know pretty much right away if you've done wrong, and you feel good when you do right because you know it. Human beings are the only animal that blushes. We actually show embarrassment and shame because we know we've made a boo-boo. Western literature, on the other hand, is filled with the falsehood and the lie that ethics is not native to human beings. There's actually a very honored book that came out in the 50s called Lord of the Flies. You may have read it. And it's about these boys who get shipwrecked on an island. All the grown-ups are dead, so it's just these boys, and they're shipwrecked on an island, and they're left to their own devices, and they quickly revert to animal savagery and so forth. They start becoming total savages and killing each other and all that sort of thing. And the thing of it is that in 1965, an actual situation like that actually happened. A bunch of boys actually got shipwrecked. They're in a prep school. They got shipwrecked on an island. And what they did was they knew that they needed each other to survive. So they set up their own government. And it was very, very simple. They rotated, had two people always on watch for ships, and they had two people foraging for food, and they had two people to cook. And if someone got mad, they were directed to go there to the other part of the island and just cool off for a couple of hours and then come back and when they're ready to apologize to everybody. And those 6 boys are still friends to this day. So you see, people natively want to do okay. They want to live, they want to survive, and they want other people to survive, and they will actively work toward that. So ethics is what you do naturally. It's you. Now, who's in charge? Who's in charge of your ethics? Who's in charge of you? Well, you're grown up, so you are. Now, here's what happens when somebody else is in charge. You let somebody else be in charge instead. Like, let's say you run a red light, or you rob a bank, or you run over somebody. You get arrested by the cops, and you get locked up, and there you are. So cops and judges and juries and jailers, they don't tend to be as nice as you are. They're a little rough on people. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of people feel they should treat themselves, like a judge and a jury and a cop and all that. Don't treat yourself like a judge and a jury and a cop and all that. Don't do that. Treat yourself like a shepherd tending his flock. A shepherd cares for and guides his flock. Does a shepherd beat up his sheep or scream at them or lock them up in a jail cell and feed them bread and water and tell them they're no good and they'll never amount to anything? No. And for that matter, do the sheep ever just sit down and go, this sucks, I hate being a sheep, I quit? No. Now, how do you like it when somebody's being a cop to you, or a judge and a jury or whatever, instead of a kindly shepherd or a friend? I bet that's happened to you every so often, maybe when you were smaller. Didn't feel all that great. And you know what? To those of you who did get subjected to that sort of treatment, just because your mom or your dad or your great uncle or whatever, or your teacher beat up on you, does not give you the license to beat up on your kids. You don't need to beat yourself up to do the right thing. You know that. And you just don't need to do that. Just be a friend to yourself. People generally know the right thing to do if they take a moment and look at the long term. Here's an example. A guy is sitting at the bar. He's approached by a cute barfly who starts flirting with him. Hey, this is kind of cool, he thinks. So he starts flirting right back. He does not think of the long term. Then he notices the wedding ring on his finger. He goes, whoa, what am I doing? Now he's thinking long term, which in this case is about an hour and a half. What's he going to do when he gets home to his wife? Because, you know, his wife, she sees through him like a window. You know, she's going to know something's going on just by the way he's acting. So he's thinking long term. So he says, no, thank you to the barfly. He goes home to his wife with a sense of relief. He avoided getting into trouble by looking at the long term. And that's right. You guessed it. If you can just take 5 seconds before diving into something and look at what you're about to do, you can view the consequences of it. That's what looking at the long term is. It's looking at the consequences. Is this going to be of benefit, or is this going to be of harm in the long term? And that long term could be an hour and a half from now in the case of the guy being tempted in the bar, or it could be 15 years from now in the case of a couple thinking of buying a snazzy car or a huge pricey house in the swankiest part of town. I mean, down the road, that might make their 3 kids' college funds a little bit more dicey. So that's long term. Now, this, by the way, is why I have a personal, very strict policy to never, never, never make any big life-changing decisions or big expensive decisions when I'm on the phone. I mean, there you are. And the person at the other end of the line is going, let's do this. Yes, it's going to be amazing. And every molecule of your being, I mean, it's right there, you know, there it is right there. You have to answer right now, you know, because there they are. They're right there on the phone. And every molecule of your being is saying, yes, 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 let's do it. And I just say, and I've had to really train myself to do this because I've made so many mistakes doing this. I just say, sorry, I'll get back with you. And before the person has a chance to say, but wait, this, you know, I just, nope, I'll talk to you later. Bye. This gives me the luxury of an extra 5 seconds or 5 minutes or 5 days or 5 hours or whatever. You know, if what the guy on the phone is selling is that amazing and wowee, it'll wait. It'll wait another 5 hours or 5 days. It'll wait for me to make a good considered decision about it with the long term in mind. So the 2 main takeaways I want you to get from this little video are, number 1, You're in charge of yourself. You take care of your own ethics gently but firmly and with love. Why? Because you believe in yourself. You believe in your honor and your own good judgment. And you know you can come up with the right course of action most of the time. You know these things. And number two, always think in the long term. You can't go far wrong if you just take those extra 5 seconds or 5 minutes and consider the consequences, good or bad, and weigh them. Try it out. Now, we're nearly done with this video. I'm sure you've got some decision weighing right on you right now. So once you're done watching this video, dust off that decision and look at it long term. Long term. No, you can't predict the future, but I trust your judgment. And so should you. See how that works for you and be easy on yourself because you're a good person. And that's all I've got to say. So until next time, love each other, take your vitamins, observe posted speed limits, play nice, and never lose sight of who you are. Never, never, never lose sight of who you are. So long for now.